Welcome back, everybody. RC here for Photography Tips and Tricks Product Spotlight. It's a brand new product from the folks at Elinchrom. It is the Skyport HS, and this is a high sync system. Now, let me take you through this. Elinchrom, hands down, produces some of the best lights in photography, and their transmitter system is something that's been used 400,000-fold, right? There's 400,000 units that are out there. Now, what can you do to a Skyport system that's used everywhere and take it to the next level? This is it. So what they've done here is they've taken some of the challenges that I've had with the Skyport system and they've eliminated them entirely. One of the biggest problems that you have when you're using a transmitting system like the Skyport, and it was great, there was nothing wrong with it, but I couldn't see what I was doing, right? So if I were to click up and click down on power, I love the fact that you can control the lights remotely, but I didn't necessarily like the fact that I'd get lost. I wouldn't know, was that 5.5, 4.2, 6.7? I didn't have any idea to be able to do this. Right here is the biggest change that you have with this. You can see exactly where you are with all of your lights immediately. So that right there is a big game changer and probably the biggest reason that I would move to this system. Not only can you control it here, but it communicates with all different types of systems. If you have an ELC, it communicates with that. If you have the ELB system, it communicates with that. If you have a Style RX system, it communicates with that. So you have all of these different systems. We use BXRIs, we use Style RXs. There's a variety of different systems out there, and all of them can communicate with the new Skyport system. That part I think is great. Now, the second thing that I like about that is that obviously you can visually see where you are with this, but what's even better is this. I have it set up right now so that it's seeing this ELB 400. Now, in the ELB 400, just to show you, I'm setting at 4.6. So imagine if that ELB 400 were sitting, let's say, on a stand somewhere far away from you. And you're like, what was that? Was it 4.6? Okay, you don't even have to guess anymore. You go right here, and you'll notice that the second ELB that I have in that system is the one that I have there, 4.6. That's the one that's here on the table. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch to that one by hitting the select button, and then just turn it up. Now it's over at 5.2, and you'll see that not only is it there at 5.2, but it's also changed right on the ELB 400. It is also 5.2. So that kind of communication that you have, that feedback when you're doing a shoot is important. The light could be far away, the light could be very high. In this case, I have a light inside of that Octa. I can't go in there and start taking that thing apart and start trying to change the lights. I want to be able to have that set up here. So having that right at your fingertips, I think, is very, very important. Let's go ahead and try to do a shoot here. I have a light inside of that huge Octa behind me, and I also have a light on an ELB 400 with a 39-inch mini Octa. Now, I'm going to have my friend Richie to kind of just step in here. I've plugged it in, and we'll see that the system, don't worry so much about the one that we have in the center, right? That's the one, we're just using a two-light setup that's here. We're using the top light and the bottom light. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly turn around, and let's just go ahead and try to do a picture here. I'll go ahead and I'll bring them in. Okay. Turn a little bit more this way. Turn your shoulder right there. There we go. Wonderful. Now, I'm set up in a position where I'm saying to myself, well, I wonder if I can get a little bit more power out of that light. What I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to switch over to that ELB 400, right? And I'm going to grab this and I'm going to turn this, and now it's at 4.8. Let's go ahead and try that shot right there. That's a little bit much. Rather than play with the light, I'll come back over here. I'm going to switch back to that, bring it down just a little bit. Once that's done there, come back. So what I'm doing there is I'm using the big Octa in the back as a high key surface, right? So the light flashes inside of it, the baffle is basically the white background, but I want to be able to regulate the power that sits inside of the MIDI Octa as well as the power that sits inside of that Octa in the back, and I think that we've been able to produce a pretty good shot. So your control, imagine if you scale this out to 2, 3, 4 lights, right? We have a ton of different lights that you can control within this, and we also have the high sync side of it. Let me give you a little bit more of the technical details of this. You'll see that the fit and finish of it is really good here. It's nice and easy to read. Here's something that I think is really cool, right? If you go to the setup section, notice there's your speed mode. If you're set to normal, if you switch this over to speed and then select that, you'll see that the entire display turns red. This is a common thing that would happen if sometimes you were using lights and you were using them in speed mode rather than normal mode, and then you didn't really know which one was which. Now you have this visual confirmation that goes, hey, the transmitter's set to speed mode. That's a really, really good thing. I'm gonna go ahead and just come over here, and I'm just gonna go to my setup, switch this back to normal, hit the center, and now I'm pretty much good to go. Another thing that I thought that they did was great for this right here, AA batteries. This I think is great. Rather than using a different type of battery that you might have to go travel to a specialty store to get, you can find those anywhere. So the light's there, it's available to you, you can use it, you can power it. The fit is nice, it's got an autofocus illuminator, and you can see exactly what you're working with exactly when you need it. Now, let's get and talk about another standout feature of the Skyport HS. That's high sync. It's something that you run into whenever you're working with cameras and you want to work with flash past its normal sync speed, usually 250th of a second or 200th of a second, depending on the camera model that you have. You go outside, you want shallow depth of field, or you want to be able to control the outdoor lighting environment, but you want to be able to use a light on a subject. If you were to take something like this picture was shot at around 4,000th of a second at 2.8. Now, this is when I try to bring the shutter speed down to 200th of a second at 2.8. I lit this, and now not only is it bright, but the background isn't necessarily working. I wanted a dark background with some nice light on the subject, and I wanted it to kind of be defocused. We're not even talking about the fact that if you were to pass your sync speed, you would get a giant black bar that would sit in that area. With high sync now, you can shoot up to 8,000th of a second at really, really shallow depth of field, and now you can produce something like this. Nice control of your environment in a bright day. You have light exactly where you want it. You have something that's out of focus. That is an incredible advantage when you're using something like the Skyport High Sync. Now, for more information on this, make sure that you go to elinchromus.com. This is going to be the place where you can see more about this great new addition to the Elinchrom family. My name's RC. Thanks for watching.